Hi, my name's Dave Weller. I'm the owner of a health promotion company in San Jose. That's the south end of the San Francisco Bay Area. And what I'd like to do today is to prepare a chili soup. It's not exactly a soup, it's a very thick soup. And I'd like to dedicate this to the memory of my good friend Frank, who died a little bit more than a year ago. He always said, Dave, you should commercialize this recipe for chili. It's so good and it's got so much good stuff in it. So I want to dedicate this video and the recipe to my friend Frank Schiavo, who's a great environmental studies teacher as well at San Jose State University. So this is for you, Frank. So already I've got a pot here with some oil. It's being heated up, it's hot. I'm going to throw in some diced onions. And empty out my container of all the onions that I chopped up. You can see that I used some oil. I prefer to use oils that are low on the spectrum fat. That is, they have less saturated oil in them. This happens to be canola oil, and it's very low in saturated fat and high in so-called good fats. So I like to use canola oil or olive oil, one of those other oils that are better for you than other oils, or butter or lard or all those other things. So I'm just scooching the onion around in the bottom of my pot while it's cooking up. You can put a little bit of salt, just a little bit of salt on it to help it sweat a little bit, get out some of the flavor of the onions, but not too much salt. One of the things that public health and medicine is worried about today is that most Americans get too much salt in their diet. And most of it is gotten in restaurants when we go out to eat, or in fast food, things like that. So don't put too much salt in the food that you prepare. And while this is sauteing up, I'd like to point out some things about lentils, which I'm going to throw into this chili here. And that's one of the things that Frank really enjoyed about this chili, is that I put lentils into it. So lentils, you can see my list up here. Lentils are very low in fat. They're very high in fiber, and you can see that from just reading the nutrition label. They're a very good source of iron, and they're a folate champ, folic acid or folate champ. They're very high in folate. So I'm just going to sit here a little while, stand here a little while, and saute my onions. These are just about done. They're getting soft, and some of them are turning brown. What I did today, just for a little change of pace, is I added some red onions, and I didn't add any yellow onions, but I added a whole white onion. That's just for a little diversity. You can also add things like carrots. Cook the carrots beforehand, steam them, and add them toward the end of the cooking time so they don't overcook. And you could also throw in a little celery with the onions here and saute them all up as well. But this is ready. I'm going to toss in the lentils here. I got rid of the liquid in both the lentils and the beans that I'm going to add here, because they're often canned with a lot of salt in them. So I took out that salt, and I can, or the people who eat this chili later on can add their own salt if they want to. Salt to taste. I'm adding a little bit of diced tomato, and an important thing about these tomatoes is they're organic. I prefer to eat organic if at all possible. That's not so much for nutrition, because whether it's an organic tomato or just a regular regularly produced tomato. It's the same nutritional information, it's just a better choice for the environment. So I choose organic. I would urge you to consider organic too as a choice for your cooking. And I'm going to add in a little bit of chili powder to my chili. I haven't measured it out. I'm just going to kind of do it by sight. Here, I think that's enough. And I'm going to stir it around a little bit. This does take a little bit of time. You have to have, as I did, the ingredients that you'd like to make your whatever soup, in this case chili, out of. So it takes time to go to the store and choose the different ingredients that you want to add. But I was all prepared here, obviously, to show in the videotape. And in ending this meal that I'm preparing, the base of which is chili, you can think about having a hunk of cheese. This happens to be Parmesan cheese. Not especially low in fat, but it's a great, great cheese. And then a hunk of bread, and toss a salad together, and you should be in business for a good meal. Let this simmer for a little bit. I'm going to turn this down right now. And you're all set. So remember, lentils, very low in fat, very high in fiber, good source of iron, and a folate champ, meaning that they're very high in folic acid. So that's it. A quick and easy recipe for chili, vegetarian chili today. For those of you who are still eating meat, you can saute some ground beef or something like that, but make sure that you toss out the fat after you've sauteed the ground beef or whatever it is you want to add to your chili. This happens to be vegetarian. There are no animal products in here at all, but you can add whatever you want to it. And I suggested adding carrot a little bit later on, steam it up, and just throw it in when you're about ready to eat, or you can saute up the celery.
Honey, I'm home. What's for dinner?
Chili.
Oh boy.